Welcome to the Mystery and History channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. The Los Alamos Laboratory, a major center of United States nuclear research, was fundamental in the Cold War technological race, especially in 1974, when scientific advances and geopolitical pressure drove the development of new weapons and energy technologies. Crews made up of pilots and flight attendants shaped commercial aviation after World War II, a period when the professionalization of the sector brought strategic value to airlines, establishing the airplane as a central element of national and international connection. A crowd gathers in the Governor's Garden in Minsk to watch the launch of a hot air balloon in 1899, a milestone in aeronautical experiments that symbolized enthusiasm for scientific progress at the end of the 19th century, a period of rapid social and technological change. Joseph Goebbels, official communications minister of the German regime, appears beside Catholic clergy performing the party's typical salute in 1930s Germany, a moment when the government sought support among religious institutions to legitimize its authoritarian policies. Mine workers leave the shaft in Virginia City, Nevada, between 1867 and 1888. A period marked by the mining boom that followed the discovery of the Comstock lode, a silver vein that drove rapid economic and population growth in the American West and strengthened national industrialization. Movie icons Jamie Lee Curtis and her mother Janet Leigh were seen together at the legendary Studio 54 during the 1970s, a period marked by the rise of disco culture and personal freedom, establishing New York as the cultural center of that generation. Phone booths dominated the urban landscape of the United States in the 1980s, making public communication easier before cell phones became common. Access to the telephone supported social and business connections, marking an important stage in everyday American life. After the famous gunfight at the OK Corral, which took place on October 26, 1881 in Arizona, the McClory brothers and Billy Clanton lost their lives, marking the peak of the rivalry between outlaw groups and lawmen, a crucial event in the creation of the American Old West myth. Thousands of Koreans, displaced by the advance of Chinese and North Korean troops, seek refuge at the port of Hungnam on December 21, 1950, a major episode of the Allied evacuation during the Korean War, symbolizing the humanitarian crisis and mass displacement of that period. Lillian Collier, a pioneer who founded Chicago's first lesbian bar, actively took part in urban transformation by climbing a skyscraper under construction in 1921, a period marked by industrial growth and the advance of civil rights in major United States cities. Hundreds of British soldiers boarded at Victoria Station in London in 1914, heading to the Western Front shortly after the beginning of World War I, a conflict that involved dozens of countries and marked the start of a new era of mechanized warfare and deep global change. Separated by the newly built Berlin Wall in 1961, German families relied on visual contact to reduce the distance imposed by the city's division, dramatically showing the immediate effects of the Cold War and establishing the wall as a symbol of the bipolar world. Cigarette advertisements dominated urban spaces in Greece in the early 20th century, as seen in the emphasis on the Karelia brand in Greek signs, reinforcing the influence of tobacco industries on everyday life and the local economy during a period of urban growth. The damage to the Reichstag building, recorded in May 1945 after the Battle of Berlin, symbolizes Germany's surrender and the end of World War II in Europe, marking a deep political transformation and the beginning of reconstruction across the continent. Japanese Emperor Hirohito, a central figure of Imperial Japan, observes the Type 90 acoustic detector, technology developed in the 1930s to detect aircraft by sound before radar became widespread, characterizing Japan's military efforts before World War II. Wrestlers provide entertainment for crew and officers aboard the USS New York shortly before July 4, 1899. In a context marked by the rise of the United States as a naval power after victory in the Spanish-American War, a fact that redefined its international role. California loggers used huge wheels to transport logs, a notable late 19th century technique during the state's lumber rush, a period when the forest industry helped drive the economic and population growth of the United States West Coast. Metal industry workers played a crucial role in the intense urbanization of the United States, driving the construction of skyscrapers and highways in the mid-20th century, a period marked by technological advances and deep social changes in the world of work. Sister Mary Kenneth Keller stood out by becoming the first woman in the United States to earn a doctorate in computer science in 1965, a key milestone for women's participation in exact sciences and the beginning of major advances in academic computing. Heinz Meixner became the central figure in a daring escape from East Germany in 1963 by driving through Checkpoint Charlie after removing the windshield to pass unnoticed under the military barrier, an act that highlighted the risky attempts to escape the communist regime during the Cold War. Recognized as a European icon of beauty and elegance, Monica Bellucci strengthened her career in international cinema throughout the 1990s, a period marked by major cultural changes in which Italian actresses gained global visibility and redefined standards of female representation. Professionals dedicated to tailoring, known as terzi in Turkish, were essential to urban and cultural life in cities of Turkey and regions under Ottoman influence during the 20th century, when custom clothing reflected social status and local traditions. While trying to pull a vehicle out of the Everglades swamps in Florida in 1916, American pioneers faced transportation difficulties that marked the early popularization of automobiles in the United States, illustrating the challenges tied to road expansion in the early 20th century. With the rise of rock and roll and jazz in the United States in 1957, students began experiencing new cultural influences in school settings, such as art classes, reflecting behavioral changes and the emergence of a youth culture more connected to sound and visual media. Frida Kahlo, after suffering a serious accident in her youth, spent almost a year confined to bed and adapted her creative process to her physical limitations, a result of the 1925 episode that deeply influenced her art and made her an icon of Mexican modernism. Brooklyn Supreme impressed people by being recognized as the world's largest horse in 1930, a period marked by the Great Depression in the United States, symbolizing popular curiosity and attention at agricultural fairs, where record-holding animals drew large crowds and shaped cultural trends. The arrival of humans on the Moon on July 20, 1969, became one of the most iconic milestones of the 20th century, with about 650 million people watching the achievement on television, establishing it as a symbol of technological progress and space race rivalry. The Bear River Hotel and the bridge of the same name, located in Box Elder County, Utah, appear recorded in 1872, a period marked by westward expansion in the United States and the consolidation of transportation routes essential to the region's growth. The Capilano Suspension Bridge, recorded in 1906 in Vancouver, became a symbol of tourism development and the modernization of urban infrastructure in the early 20th century, helping connect natural areas and bringing the public closer to nature. The Golden Gate Bridge, opened to the public in 1937, became an engineering icon by connecting San Francisco to Marine, standing out for the ceremony in which a silver chain was cut instead of a traditional ribbon, symbolizing innovation in the 1930s. An American soldier offers shelter to an injured Japanese boy, protecting him from the rain while waiting for help at his plane, in a scene common shortly after Japan's surrender in 1945. Gestures like this, amid post-war hardship, symbolize the beginning of rebuilding and attempts at reconciliation between nations. The growing popularity of martial arts in the West, especially from the 1970s onward, affected pop culture and American cinema, marking a period when young people looked for inspiration in Eastern practices and masters gained attention, influencing fashion and behavior. An exhausted nurse takes a break in Red Cross tents on French soil during the Battle of Normandy, a crucial 1944 battle in World War II, whose Allied landings accelerated the liberation of France and decisively influenced the course of the European conflict. The ban established in the United States in 1920 officially prohibited the production and sale of alcoholic beverages, driving the spread of illegal establishments and strengthening criminal networks, with major impacts on American customs and laws in the following decade. Julie Newmar gained attention by playing Lola in a promotional shoot for Damn Yankees in 1961, a period when Broadway musicals and film adaptations were strengthening American entertainment and leaving a strong cultural influence at the start of the decade. African American women played a decisive role in the war effort in the 1940s, especially during World War II, when they began taking jobs in factories and services previously reserved for white men, pushing debates about civil rights and workplace equality. The streets of Deadwood, in what was then Dakota Territory, were bustling in 1877 because of the intense gold rush, a milestone that drove the city's rapid growth and contributed to the economic and social development of the American West, attracting thousands of adventurers and merchants to the region. Everyday life on Cortez Street in Prescott, Arizona, in the 1890s reflects the expansion period of the American Old West, marked by the founding of frontier towns driven by mining and trade, essential factors in the growth of the United States during that century. Engineers and technicians closely watched the launch of the Saturn V that carried Apollo 11 to the Moon on July 16, 1969, an occasion that marked the peak of the space race during the Cold War and strengthened United States leadership in space exploration. Farmer A.L. Butts gained attention by reporting on September 9, 1937, that grasshoppers had reached 3 feet in length after consuming a special food in his apple orchard, illustrating the period's mix of fascination and fear toward agricultural science and sensational stories. Albert Lowenstein, a prominent Belgian businessman recognized as the third richest man in the world in 1928, became part of one of aviation's most famous mysteries when he disappeared during a flight over the English Channel, marking an episode that fueled global speculation and historical debate. The 1930s marked a period of transition between technological innovations and appreciation for older customs, as shown by a couple posing beside a penny farthing, a type of bicycle popular in the late 19th century and a symbol of urban transportation's evolution. Hovey's Dance Hall, photographed in 1884 in Clifton, Arizona, highlights one of the dance halls that shaped the development of the American Old West, symbolizing important social spaces during the copper mining boom and the rapid urbanization of the region in that decade. Hookah cafes like the one shown in Istanbul in 1885 were key meeting places for urban social life during the Ottoman Empire, serving not only for leisure, but also as spaces for political discussion and the spread of news among working people and merchants. Between the 1960s and 1970s, North Korea experienced intense military strengthening under Kim Il-sung's government, benefiting from the training of new leaders and the development of the Air Force amid rivalry with the South and the Cold War context. A gentleman rides through London in 1913 in a carriage pulled by zebras, showing both aristocratic eccentricity and the impact of urban innovation in the early 20th century, shortly before World War I radically changed everyday European life. A Los Angeles Police Department officer identified as Motor Officer 1930 exemplifies the beginning of the modernization of American police forces when the introduction of motorcycles expanded reach and speed in fighting crime and managing city traffic. American youth in 1969 was marked by the hippie counterculture, a movement that questioned traditional values, promoted peace, and influenced behavior, fashion, and music. The year concentrated protests against the Vietnam War, creating deep and lasting cultural changes. Sophia Loren's international acclaim represented the peak of the so-called golden age of Italian cinema, when artists from the country earned recognition in both national productions and Hollywood, promoting cultural exchange and boosting the prestige of European cinema. Soviet peasants experienced radio broadcasting for the first time in 1928, a fact that marks the arrival of modern communication media in rural areas of the Soviet Union and symbolizes the regime's attempt to expand its political and cultural influence over the countryside. Members of the White Mountain Apache people appear mounted on horseback, wrapped in traditional blankets, a common scene in the southwestern United States at the turn of the 20th century, a period marked by the imposition of reservations and resistance to cultural assimilation policies. Japan entered a period of major cultural change between the post-war years and the 1970s, when traditions such as wearing summer kimonos remained present in cities even with rapid modernization, reflecting the coexistence of old customs with growing Western influences. American Airlines, by launching the coach lounge in the 1970s, changed air travel by turning shared space into an area for comfort and socializing, attracting economy-class passengers and marking a phase of strong competition and innovation among United States airlines. The Do Not Enter message, common in the United States, reflects traffic rules that gained national standardization after the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, officially adopted in 1971, an important factor in improving road safety in that period's urban setting. Winston Churchill appears in 1944 beside a Frenchman, suggesting intense Anglo-French cooperation during decisive moments of World War II, especially after D-Day, a key milestone in the liberation of France from German occupation that same year. The United States Air Force carried out a notable experiment in 1958 by testing the effects of weightlessness using a cat inside an F-94C Starfire, showing the scientific spirit of the Cold War and the effort to understand how living beings reacted in high-altitude flights. The presence of an indigenous woman in front of a teepee in Minnesota shows the survival of native traditions in the 19th century, a period marked by the growing occupation of indigenous lands in the United States and the resulting cultural and territorial restriction of these peoples. Small businesses, like the one identified by the AL Store sign, were common in American urban centers in the early 20th century, a period marked by city growth driven by worker migration, which encouraged the rise of this kind of neighborhood store. The Sikorsky R-5 helicopter played a key role in the advance of aviation when it was tested by lifting 17 people in addition to the pilot in Bridgeport, Connecticut on January 10, 1946, showing post-World War II technological potential for rescues and civilian uses. The waiting room of a Greyhound bus station in Los Angeles reflects urban patterns in the United States in the late 1960s, a period marked by social changes, civil rights struggles, and technological advances, including growing access to television. Osama bin Laden, after working with Mujahideen groups during the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan, redirected his experience toward large-scale construction projects in Sudan, a process that began after the Soviet withdrawal in 1989 and influenced political and religious networks with international reach. After the occupation of German General Hermann Göring's quarters by the United States Third Army on May 3, 1945, American soldiers showed the imminent collapse of the German government, weakening the opposing military structure and consolidating the Allied advance. German ballerinas doing stretches, as the text indicates, point to the dance tradition that flourished in post-war Germany when companies and schools sought to rebuild cultural life after the trauma of World War II, reaffirming artistic identity in the European scene. Behind the iconic face of Big Ben, a man observes the monumental mechanism inside the Palace of Westminster, a rare record from 1920, a period when London was rebuilding its identity after World War I and strengthening the clock as a British national symbol. The sign reading "Not a Through Street" on a sloped urban street reflects the modernization of English-speaking urban centers in the 1950s. A period marked by major road reorganization aimed at adapting city space to post-World War II population growth. Waterloo Place, located in London, went through major changes at the end of the 19th century, driven by the rapid urban growth of the Victorian era, when horse-drawn transportation and gas street lighting still dominated the city, marking a new phase of English urban life. A young survivor of the Nagasaki episode represents the human scars and destruction caused by the nuclear explosion on August 9, 1945, an event that hastened the end of World War II and revealed the enormous impact of these technologies on civilians. Federal employees and merchants worked in the office and warehouse of the Round Valley Agency settlement in California in 1876, a period when indigenous agencies served as centers of control and administration over native lands during United States colonial expansion over indigenous peoples. If you enjoyed this video and want to support the channel, please use the Super Thanks tool below. Your contribution helps us keep bringing you amazing historical content. Thank you so much for your support, and see you in the next video.